What's up, bitches? And welcome to Silent Rob's Top 11 Movies of All Time. I made a top 11 because I couldn't really fit them all in a top 10. I couldn't leave any of these movies out. And although my favorite movies change periodically, these are the movies that I always come back to. I always watch, probably more than any other movies, so I pretty much consider them my favorite movies. Number 11 on the list is Cube. I consider this movie to be a perfect horror movie. It's got everything. It makes you think. It's got gore. It's got a good storyline, good setup, good environment, good characters. And even though many of the characters in this movie overact all the time, it's especially two in particular characters that I'm thinking of, but the overacting doesn't ruin the movie, and it's just such an original idea that it just has to be seen to be believed. And if you haven't seen this movie, go see it. It came out in the mid-90s. It's awesome. It's basically about this group of people who don't know each other, and they wake up in this cubed room, like a cubed box, and every room adjoining that room is another cube of a different color, and they have to figure out why they're in this predicament. And a lot of the actual rooms are booby-trapped, and certain rooms you'll go into, you'll get fucking killed in grisly ways. And it's like a puzzle game. It's almost like a video game, and how they have to try to figure out how to get out of this giant cube, this giant maze. And it's just awesome. It's just a great storyline. It reminds me of like old Twilight Zone episodes. It's just great. Watch it. Number 10 is National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one. And although I liked Christmas Vacation, the other sequels pretty much suck. I mean, I can tolerate Vegas Vacation, but European Vacation is god-awful. Like, it's just terrible. But nothing beats the original in my book, and this is just a classic movie. A lot of the crap that happens in this movie, you are not going to get away with today. And that's why I like it. You know, it gets away with a lot of fucking shit. I mean, this is an R-rated comedy in every sense of the word. And, you know, I even used to watch it as a kid, and I used to know, like, yo, man, this ain't right, man. This movie is ridiculous, you know what I mean? And it's always been, even as a child, one of my favorites. And I love Chevy Chase in it. And Chevy Chase gets a lot of flack from a lot of his fans, but people have to realize that he's starred in some of the funniest movies of all time, and this is one of them. I love the road trip premise. I love the predicaments that they get in. I love Aunt Edna. I love Uncle Eddie. Whenever you try to go on to a family vacation, this is a pretty good portrait of what it is like to go on a family vacation. I mean, every single time they get to the park at the end and Chevy Chase punches that moose in the face, I just bust out laughing uncontrollably. It's like one of the funniest scenes in movie history. To make it all the way to the park and go through all the shit you've just gone through for the park to be closed is the ultimate irony. And for the most part, it actually explains the way my luck is in real life. A lot of stuff like that happens to me all the time. I can totally relate to Chevy Chase in this. The guy just wants to give his family a great vacation. In the truest sense of the word, he's a good father. But he's just a fuck-up. And this is just an ultimate portrait of what every American dad wants to actually be. And actually can't be. Number 9 is Old Boy. And I love this movie. And I've actually heard that they're making a remake, an American remake of it. And I hope to God that it never comes to be. Because this movie is perfect the way it is. It's amazing. Never before have I watched a movie and just been completely taken away. And that's what this movie does to you. You're completely engulfed in it. You're completely connected to the characters. And you cannot wait to see what happens next. It also has an ending that is just mind-blowingly awesome that most people that see it never see it coming. It's just a great story. And it's something that if an American studio remade this movie, I guarantee it's not going to have the same impact. The whole basis of the story in this is very taboo. The whole twist at the end is very taboo. And I wonder if they were going to leave that in. And if they don't leave it in, it's not going to have the same impact. They're going to probably make it a straight action movie, which this movie is not. This is just an amazing movie. You get to see revenge, the best it's ever probably been shown on screen. And it's not your typical revenge story, you know what I mean? It doesn't have your typical happy ending, but it does have this one amazing fight scene in it in which the whole fight scene is like 5 minutes long, but it's just one continual cut. It never cuts away. It's one giant long fight scene. Perfectly choreographed with no mistakes whatsoever, and it's probably one of the coolest things ever. If you haven't seen this, go see it. If you like revenge movies, you'll love this. Number 8 is Evil Dead 2. Now, I had a hard time picking between this one and Army of Darkness, and as much as I love Army of Darkness, this movie is probably actually technically better than Army of Darkness. And I always loved Army of Darkness better as a kid, but as I grew up, I realized that this movie is actually better. Evil Dead 2 is how you do a sequel right. You take everything that the first movie was, and you do it way better. You do it with better effects, better story, better acting, better gore effects, better monsters, better ending, better beginning, better middle, better everything. If you're going to make a sequel, you might as well do it right, and this movie does it. This movie's got everything. Horror elements, comedy elements. It's got a serious tone behind it. I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, it's a little bit freaky. And you got to remember, too, that Bruce Campbell is pretty much the only star in this movie for a good portion of the actual movie. He's by himself in a cabin, and he manages to hold the movie together just by himself. And people diss on Bruce Campbell a lot, but that takes true talent. That's what you call a one-man show. And that's basically what this movie is a one-man show. You're taken through the horrors of Bruce Campbell's mind. You're going slowly insane with Ash in the cabin. Demons are all around you. You get this isolated feeling. It's just awesome, you know. And then the camp elements and the chainsaw on the arm. That's when he first gets it. He chops off his arm because it gets possessed, and the arm attacks him. You know, this stuff has been oft repeated and duplicated, but never equaled. And this movie did it first. This movie did it the best. All hail Evil Dead 2. Number 7 is Gladiator. And I just love this movie. This movie kind of shows as to why Roger Ebert isn't a very good source to go by when you're going to watch a movie, because he actually hated this movie. And then the same year it wins the Academy Award for Best Picture in 2000. So there obviously has to be something there. And I'm not the biggest Ridley Scott fan, but I think he nailed it with this movie. He nailed the look, the feel, the grisliness, everything about what it is to be a gladiator. And I've always thought the subject of gladiators was interesting, and this movie completely nails it. I love how, you know, he was portrayed. It was sort of like a revenge story, but at the same time, it was a real deep look into what it was like to actually be a gladiator back in the days. It's a scary thought to go out there and, you know, battle someone to the death. You know, that's something that, you know, you just don't see anymore because it's barbaric and it's crazy. You know, but this gives you a glimpse as to what it was like, and I think it's real raw. I think it's real good. I think the ending is amazing. It's just a great movie. 10 out of 10. Number 6 is the Alien series of movies. And I couldn't really just pick just one, so I said I might as well just say the Alien series, because I like Alien 1 and I like Aliens. And I even like Alien Resurrection. I never really thought that movie was that bad. Alien 3 is garbage, though, but as a whole, it's a pretty good science fiction series, so I'm just going to say the Alien series. These are just good classic horror movies. I love the concept. I love the environments. I love, you know, every movie has its moments. You know, the first movie has the chest burster coming out of the guy's chest, and the second movie has, you know, Ripley in the fucking giant walking tank battling a fucking giant alien queen. You know, as shitty as the third movie is, it at least had her, you know, jumping into the lava with a chest burster coming out of her, and she falling into the lava. That was a sweet scene. You know, Alien Resurrection has the alien getting sucked through the fucking porthole thing in the ship at the end of it. That was sweet. I don't know. I just always like the Alien movies, and I can always just put them in and watch them whenever I'm bored. So, good-ass movies. The best one is probably Aliens, but fuck it. I'm just going to put the series because it's my list, so kiss my ass.